Hey guys, Rachel here. So I wanted to give you a talk about parenting. So a few of you, I don't know, maybe be parents yourselves. And you're probably like, okay, what can this child teach me that I don't already know? And if you are that type of parent, I can tell you parent your child off of the internet or you're high off your ass. So sit the fuck down right now, and I'll go ahead and teach you what you need to know. So you're probably like, oh my god, she just cursed 5 times or something in the video. Well, guess what? You gotta grow up. Grow a pair right now. This is big boy talking. Okay. So something about parenting. If your child goes on a site that you don't want them to see, like little Billy sees the link to something, he clicks it because it's in a bright, beautiful color, like blue. Then he sees Pornhub, and like you walk into the room, and he's just like, what is this? You can't yell at him for it. Like, really, what is he supposed to know? He's like 6. You can't yell at him for looking at that, very confused and in a state of shock. There has to be blocks on there, or set a time limit for your child. There has to be like a child-proof lock on that phone or computer or tablet. Whatever you have your child on, there must be a lock on that. There should be always a child-proof thing. If your child is that young. Okay? And you're probably like, no, I don't agree. My kid can look at whatever they want. Same parent would yell at their kids for accidentally stumbling upon pictures of dicks. Oh my god, big shocker! What if little Susie, comes across an old man, he starts showing her horrible things, like dead cats and dogs. I know this may be horrific to some people, but stuff like this happens. So you gotta actually take the precaution to watch your child while they're doing this. Okay? Because if they stumble across something, you must be there to cover their eyes or nurture them in that exact moment. Because the state of mind is a fragile thing. And if they see something too shocking for their young mind, something horrible can happen to them. They could go into a type of mental disorder or whatever. Not meaning it to be disrespectful to anybody with a disorder. But look, if you think about it, the mind, it's very fragile. So you gotta understand that if little Susie sees this, something bad could go off in her brain. She could react one way, crying, and then another way, wanting to hurt people for hurting those animals, or whatever was shown. And you don't want that, because that is your child. You don't want your child to go on a rampage. You want them to be a sweet, innocent person. So please understand why you need to put blocks on the internet. And if you are a child who stumbled across this, show your parents this video. Okay? They need to understand what they have been doing wrong if they haven't put up the precautionary locks. Been there to monitor you or your internet search history. Or just giving you a tablet and going out on the couch to smoke weed. Or drink beer excessively. and then complain that your kid is so lousy, even though it's them being lousy. And I'm sorry if you had to grow up into a household like that. I almost understand how that is. And also abusive households. Why would you hurt that smaller person? That smaller person is basically a form of you. Something beautiful and kind that did nothing to harm anyone. And if you had this kid and you didn't want it, put it up for adoption. There are simple ways. You could leave it at a fire station, a police office, even a hospital. They'll take it in and nurture that child, which you should have done. If you torture that child, put it through senseless torment, they will become horrible people, wanting to torment and torture people the way that you did. So, if you were raised in a household where you were abused, it is wrong. If your parents or guardians say that it was okay and that they should have done it because you were a bad kid, you weren't. You were going to be a nice person. If you say, no, I was born bad, you weren't supposed to be. It was just ingrained into you. And if you're just a bully because you know you have a better life than everyone, stop. Really, it doesn't need to be that way. If you are like that, you actually need to go out and help people. You have the power to. You can rise above it all. But no, a lot of you just rub the poor kids' faces into it, saying, yeah, I'm richer. So yeah, you can go and look at my Rolex car, or whatever you own. It can be a freaking Lamborghini made out of Gucci for whatever. And then you're just like, oh no, don't touch it! Ew, poor! You can't do that to people, just because they're less off than you? Okay. But, really, why do parents yell at their kids for doing something that they didn't know was wrong? Abuse them, making them bad people later on in life. And why are bullies like this? It's bad enough. And if the yelling at the child turns into physical abuse, that is so wrong to do. Even if you think that they're old enough and they can understand what you're doing is correct. Correct in quotations? Hitting a child is wrong, okay? I understand if they repeatedly do it and they're disrespectful to you. You don't hit them, okay? The only way that I believe hitting is okay is if you give them a spanking. But don't hit them with a freaking belt or a wire. That's abuse. Way more than it should be. Okay? You should actually never lay your hand on a child. But if it must be deemed proper, only spank them. Okay. And why? And later on in life, you should be able to understand what this is. And your parents, if they find out that you've been looking at this, they should be like, you know what? I'm not mad. I did this when I was younger. So I'll just go ahead and have a sit down with him or her and explain to them why they must do this in moderation. unless it is drugs or smoking or drinking. You must be like, I found this under your bed or in your dresser, and they're like, I don't find this a good thing for you to be doing. I'm going to confiscate it. Also, I'm going to keep your money in my room for a while so that you can't go and buy things like this. So I want you to think about what you have done tonight. You are grounded. Now, please go clean up your room. That's the only time. Okay? That is the correct way to punish a kid. Well, I guess, I'm not a psychologist. But you must calmly talk to them. Because if you start yelling at them, they won't do it properly. You must calmly talk to them and not dumb it down like they're a baby. Just like, okay, little Susie, you went and did a bad thing, so you are grounded, but only for a week, and you still get treats. Also, why? Hold on, this freaking light is annoying me. Okay. So yes, you must understand that children need the proper amount of nurturing and caring for everything in their life to be good and them to progress as human beings. Because if they're abused in some form, they will just form into a different person than what destiny has put out for them. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.